Hi, I'm Colin, one half of the Movie Rankers, and today we're lucky enough to be joined by actor, producer, screenfighter, martial artist, and many other things, the talented Mark Strange. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, my friend? You
Not
good?
too bad. Not too bad at all. It's a bit hot, isn't it? A
It's
minute.
really much. Actually, it's not that bad I'm in Yorkshire at the moment, so it's pretty dull and miserable, so
It's well. First of all, congratulations with the buzz around Rupture. That seems to be um, hitting a lot of people's radars with the trailer and everything that's come out.
Thank
Um, we'll get onto that later on, but if you don't mind, we'll jump straight back to the start. When
yeah.
you lived in Lancashire, how did this all kind of come about for you? I mean, with regards to martial arts, were you into martial arts before you got into the movie, before you saw movies with it in, or were you influenced by the movies?
I was influenced by the movies really. You know, I me and my friend back when I was 10 years old, we started kind of like watching kind of ninja movies, and then it progressed from ninjas to I discovered Jackie Chan, and prior to that Bruce Lee, um, and all these kind of early kind of 80s kind of action stars. I was a big fan of obviously Stallone as well back in the day with Rambo First Blood and Rocky, and I thought, wow, this is what I want to do one day is to act and on screen, utilizing my talent at the time because I just started martial arts, and that was kind of it was the movies that influenced me to want to study martial arts, and I thought one day I want to be on that screen doing what they're doing, and that's pretty much
How the
my
path started?
yeah, it's how it all started. And I remember I used to go, I used to, what little pocket money that I had, I'd go and kind of start my first system of martial arts was Lao Gar Kung Fu, and then I then got up to a good level in that, and then started just experimenting. I met Derek Frierson, who was my Sifu, my kung fu teacher. We went over to China to train with the Shaolin monks and learn Wing Chun, and went to Hong Kong to work Tong Lung Praying Mantis, and I started doing more of a variety of Chinese martial arts with Derek back in the day, which was a great fun.
So how old were you when you officially signed up to a class? Was you around 12, 13, something like that when you officially signed up, or?
I'd say I think I was probably around 11, 12
Right.
when I first started martial arts. Um, it was in my blood, I used to, I used to fight a lot at school as a kid, and I needed something. Yeah, as a really young kid, in junior school and stuff, I needed something to take my mind and put it into something positive, and martial arts gave me that kind of. It was perfect. I loved it. It was the movies. It was the whole kind of. It built me that discipline, and it channeled it into learning skills to defend myself, and I never fought anyone ever after that, so only in competition, so and on films, so
Was it something that kind of come naturally to you? Did it take time to pick up the techniques and things like that, or was it all quite
no
easy to pick up?
I, I loved it from day dot. Everything's quite, there's certain things that are challenging. And as a kid, I was very ambitious. I wanted, if I saw something in a movie, I wanted it. So I wanted to be able to do it myself. Um, and yeah, it was just like a continuous journey of improving and learning new things that I could one day use on screen, and utilizing films, and at the same time I was going down the competition route as well. I competed in over the years in weapons and forms, creative forms, musical forms, semi-contact kickboxing, full contact kickboxing. I had a massive variety of kind of things that I did, and I studied, at the time. purely because I was probably one of the youngest in the country to set my own gym up. I left school and I had a full-time gym.
I wondered if that was a true fact or not. I read it that you. I mean, you were, yeah, you were the first. You were the youngest to run a fitness and martial arts studio, weren't you? In where was that? Was that?
Yeah, it was in
Leyland?
Leyland in Lancashire. Yeah, and I set my gym up, which I successfully run for 17 years. Built it into a little kind of thriving business, martial arts business, and it was kind of like crazy because everybody. It was funny because I was firing good energy out. I was getting good energy back. I was getting great students and really respectful kind of people. You know, it was just a bunch of nice people that came to my gym. You know, that I built it from scratch. You know, and it was full time. You know, it was literally. All the way through the day into the evening. It was literally 7 days a week. I was teaching a variety of things from kung fu to kickboxing, tai chi, just a really vast variety of kind of different disciplines.
Wow. Just to backtrack a little bit there, how old were you when you went out to Shaolin and trained out there? Then was that kind of?
I was 20 years old. I remember it well.
How intense was it? Is it as intense as it looked on film in some of these films? Or
well, one of the reasons why I remember it well, it was my first flight. Yeah, and it was the old Hong Kong airport that you see in all the old movies.
Where it goes over the city through the
right through the buildings and stuff. It was like, you know, so that was my first flight when I was scared to death of flying. So, and I still am scared to death of flying, even though I've flown all over the place. Yeah, it was the actual training. I got there and it was just, you know, I did some training in Hong Kong in praying mantis with a master called Lee Kam Wing, 7-star mantis. And then I went over to Shaolin and we had a different kind of monk that had come and train us each day in wushu and a variety of different things. I think I did the Shaolin 13 spear while I was there, studied that. That was a lot of fun but it was hard, really hard. After day 2, I couldn't walk. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Just in horse riding stances and all that sort of.
Yeah, they make you stay there and your legs were shaking like crazy. You couldn't move. And it was kind of like, yeah, by day 2, one of the monks I always remember was like laughing. What's all it was his legs kind of thing, you know, and it's really sore. And it is this massage technique and healed them within half an hour and I could walk again.
Really?
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah, it was their experience and their ability over there to not only, you know, do martial arts and practice, but just to kind of get that have the healing side and stuff as well. You know, it's insane. They've got a great knowledge.
It was like a massive fun experience to go out there and do that, and it must have set you up for the future with the skills you've learned out there and everything. So obviously you've had to kind of adapt varieties of martial arts in your film career as well, haven't you? So it's
definitely. Because I believe I've been put on this planet to do one thing. Yeah, and that's to entertain people, you know. And I know for a fact that my biggest stuff is ahead of me. I've not, you know, all the stuff I've done to date, I'm very grateful for, and for the opportunities, and I'm very grateful to be doing what I'm doing. Yeah, but I know that my biggest stuff is ahead of me. So, and everything I've learned over the years through experiences, good and bad, all goes to what I've got ahead of me now. So it's you know, it's kind of all these kind of skills, and you never stop learning. That's the thing with martial arts. There's always something else you can learn. So, you know, I'm always learning, working with different choreographers now in the film industry. There's always something new you can learn. There's always something different you can do. So you're an open book always as a martial artist, as an actor. You know, always learn new things every experience you get.
Yeah, excellent. Very wise, very wise.
Always.
You also represented Britain in 2002, didn't you? For the what was that? Chiwu Championships, was it, or Chop?
Athletic Championships in Guangzhou, China. Yeah, I competed for 3 years to get positioned to be on the British squad. I was going out there. I competed in full contact in Sanshao, kickboxing, and yeah, I did very well, consecutive over the years. Won the first one, and back then it's not like, you know, I never say everyone has an easy go, you know, when it comes to fighting, because fighting is one of the toughest sports on the planet. I believe it is. Yeah, in whatever discipline that is, you know, whether it be now UFC or kind of kickboxing or boxing, they're all very, very tough sports, you know, and anyone who does well in them deserves everything they get. And every you know, financially now it's great because they get well looked after, and so they should. But back in the day when I did it, you know, it'd be almost like a blood sport in one day. It'd be an elimination. So you'd fight one guy, you'd beat him, you'd have to wait, you fight the next guy, and you keep fighting all day until you get to the final. And then you fight the best of the best in that category, that weight class. And that was tough. Yeah, because you were picking injuries up through the day. It was a tough way of doing it, you know.
Pretty much trained by the time you get to the.
Yeah, you'd only be doing like, if I remember rightly, it was 3 2-minute rounds. Yeah, but 3 2-minute rounds of full contact when someone wants to knock your head off with. They've got the hands and they've got the feet. They've got pretty much everything. Yeah, it's a tough. It's a tough day. You know, definitely if you go far, you know, and you get to the final, you're picking up knocks and bumps all the way through the day, and pulls, and you know, yeah. So it's that, you know, that's what I loved about it. It was very challenging. You know, it's extremely challenging. But whatever's, you know, whatever sport you do is, you know, on contact sport, they're all challenging because you've got someone trying to knock you out, so, or beat you. So it's, you know, it's the whole competitive element, which I used to love and I still love, you know. And now but all the, you know, I don't really compete against anyone anymore. Done that, been there, won the badge. Now it's about competing about myself. It's competing with me. It's me v me. So,
To always improve.
yes.
So you had your gym, which was a huge success. You said you built that from scratch, ran it up. What was it like saying to yourself, if I want to be in film, then I kind of need to just dedicate myself to this and focus completely on film? What was that like? That must have been quite a tough decision, wasn't it? Or
It was, well, the journey began at my gym. You know, I always wanted it from being a young kid. You know, I love movies, always wanted to go full circle with the martial arts to get me into movies. But, you know, and back then I was taking acting lessons. I was doing private acting tuition with a lady called Jane Bell, and I was always trying to develop that side of things, the acting side, because obviously my strength was the martial arts. So I wanted to have no weakness, you know, or I wanted to be as competent a competent actor as I was a martial artist. And I'm still striving to improve. You know, you can always improve, and in my mind, the more actors you work with, the better, you know, because you kind of pick things off from working with other actors. I know it's always good to act with someone who's better than you because it brings the best out of you, just like a fighter would. So, in a fight, you know, better fighter than you will bring the best out of you. Yeah, a better actor than you brings the best elevation of you as well to bounce off. So, it kind of started at my gym because that's where I started making. I started making a short movie called Insidious with the director of my movie that followed, Displaced,
Martin, what was his name?
Martin Holland, yeah, yeah. And then, so I then met Martin, and that around the same time I met Matt Rutledge as well. And then I started
Did a
making.
bit on Mersey Cop with him as well, didn't you?
I did, yeah. That was kind of halfway through working with Martin. It was yeah, we started making this Insidious, and then we thought, right, well, my sister came up with a little concept about an alien, a humanoid alien, trying to uh, sort of rescue his sister, his alien sister, you know, based around sci-fi and martial arts. And so we started making that. Then it was going great, and then we ended up turning it into a feature film. So we did a whole rewrite. We started making it it was getting bigger and bigger. It's very ambitious, you know, and that took a good good portion of my younger career when I had my gym, because I was recruiting stunt guys, martial artists, screen fighters from my own gym, um, and training people up who kind of at the time trained with me. So in martial arts, so I had I had a nice built kind of gym of fighters in a sense.
Right.
So you know, and we all used to love, you know, I love it in the sense of you know, making the film, which become Displaced, the final film. It did really well. We took it, me and the director, we took it to Los Angeles, we took it to the American film market, and for a first movie, which was really really low budget, we managed to get a sales agent and sell it to Japan, America, variety of different countries bought it,
It,
back in the.
it was quite a, well, as you said. I mean, it did start out just a little 45-minute what your sister wrote, and as you said, it developed into a you know, a feature film. How was it for you, kind of, because you produced it as well and everything like that, to go from such a small project and then produce something that, I mean, at one point you have to try and find like 500 extras for it.
Yeah, well,
That is just
sure, the short was doing so well. It was the footage was looking great. So we thought, why are we doing a short film? Yeah, when we want to make a feature film. So we then thought, right, let's make it bigger. And we took it everywhere, man. We really did. We you know, we brought in, like, for myself on it, I was the action director. I was the actor, the main actor. I played two characters. I played Stell, a humanoid alien, and I played Radius, who's was a government assassin. Yeah. And on top of that, I produced pretty much the entire thing. And it was so ambitious. We had like we had CG spaceships, we had kind of Ian McKellen doing a voiceover for the film, we had kind of, it was just an epic in a small movie, you know. It really was. And we had thousands of extras in total, and started bringing around towards the latter end of no, about midway through latter end of the movie, I got a call to work in Hong Kong, which you know, which was very nice. It was on my birthday.
24th birthday, I believe, wasn't it? You got
Yeah, I got
a phone
casted.
call from Mike Leader, wasn't it, saying, can you come and
Yeah, well, actually, it was you know, it was another producer out there that called me in, and he called me over, and that's where I, working on them two movies. That's where I met Mike Leader. You know, that was, and basically, I ended up going to work on the no, Twins Effect with Jackie Chan. Donnie Yen was doing the action design for it. And then I got there and things changed, and the Twins Effect movie got pushed a month. But lucky enough, I got to do reshoots on the Medallion, the Jackie Chan's Medallion. So I did. So I was there for 3 months in total. Met some great people, and yeah, I got to work with Jackie Chan twice in 3 months, which was pretty awesome.
so so back home, you're halfway through doing Displaced. You
Yeah.
get a call to go work out in Asia with arguably the biggest action star of all time in two of his films. That must have been a massive whirlwind. You at the time to be kind of starting your dream and then kind of jumping right into the deep end to have to go face to face with Jackie Chan and
Of course, yeah, yeah. It was it at the time, and still looking back, I had the best time. It was an amazing dream come true, because you know the role wasn't a big role. by far. I just play in the Medallion. I play a villain, a henchman who gets battered by Jackie Chan in a sewer. Yeah, and then obviously the twins effect. I played a motorbiking vampire. Yeah, which I you know I try and again attack Jackie Chan, but he runs me over in his ambulance. So that but the experience I learned from that and the contacts I made, I took displaced over there that are like a rough cut, and that's how I met. Obviously, I met Mike Leader. I showed him the rough cut. He was really impressed with it, and that's how I got to sort of like meet Mike, and spent much time over there with Mike. I had a good friend of mine, Digger Mitch, as well, who was very kind, and I lived with in Hong Kong for like 3 months. So, yeah,
Been crazy. Going back to Ian McKellen, how did that come about? So I mean,
well, the funny story about that is, when we first started the movie, we knew we wanted a really good voiceover, and no better than his voice is legendary. It's fantastic, and so we contacted his agent nearer the beginning of we were getting into the feature of Displaced, and then he said, "Oh, agent got back saying, oh, unfortunately, it's committed to like 3 movies at the moment, and that was Lord of the Rings, yeah, which, it was filming in New Zealand, so there wasn't a chance we could do it. So 7 years down the line, because he then after that he tagged into his agent and he sent me a personal message saying, I would love to help you guys, but unfortunately, so I had his email. So then basically I said, no, I really appreciate you getting back, thank you very much, and all that. And then I heard a little birdie that was working on Coronation Street, and this is like, we were just finishing off our film, and I thought this is the perfect chances in Manchester. Yeah. So I emailed him again, and I said to him, I said, look, 7 years down the line, we're just finishing our movie now, and would you be, and here's my number. And then next minute he rings me up my phone, and I was like, at the time I was in Preston, and he said, oh yeah, I'll help you guys out, no problem at all. So basically I had a friend at Granada, through Martin. It was Martin Holland's friend. It was a sound recordist at Granada. And I told him prior, and he said, yeah, if you can get Ian McKellen, you can have the place for free. Yeah. So that was my, so anyway, I said, oh, well, we've got a guy at Granada, we can set it all up and everything. And I said, great. And then that was it. We had one of the biggest actors in Britain doing a voiceover for our film. And it was insane. We went to meet him. I tried to raise some money, which I did, to offer him. I wouldn't take the money. Did the voiceover. It was fantastic. And then he even did an interview for our bonus materials. So if you've got the American disc of Displaced, you'll see his interview on the making of. So
got that.
Yeah.
That's I mean, to be able to achieve all that on your first project, that's you must have been really proud of what you all achieved on that with the hard work that went into
it. Yeah, I was very proud of it. It was a lot of effort, a lot of hard work, a lot of times where you think you're never going to finish, kind of thing. Even when we finished and we were selling it, yeah, we had to redo all the sound in the entire movie because it failed quality control in, I don't know, I can't remember what country it was. I think it could have been Japan. And we had to raise money, and once you've finished, you think you've finished, and then you have to redo it again. And it's test of character and test of strength, of just being able to achieve that and do that. But everyone look, this is the thing about making movies. Yeah. you've got to have a good team. You've got to have a committed team. Everyone have to be on the same page, and you've got to love what you do, because if you don't, it'll chew you up and spit you out. Yeah, this industry, because you know, you've got to love it. That's basically what you've got to give, really.
Welcome, the fighters!
Right, Mark. So after Displace, that kind of led you into Underground back in 2007. This is kind of like your tournament film, I guess, isn't it? Really? How did
It was, yeah, yeah. It came about from after I'd finished Displaced and it got out there. I met up with a director, Chi Kyung Chung, and basically we met up and decided to do a tournament movie. And we just got a host of UK talent, and you know, there was like Joey Anza, there was kind of Bo Fowler, Leon Shu, Liang Yang. There was some great talent that we got in the movie, and I met most of them working on Batman Begins, where I was hanging with them every day, doing being League of Shadow, you know, doing bits where the temple get blown up and stuff in the first Batman Begins, Christian Bale. And so that's where I met a lot of the guys. So we basically teamed together and made a small indie fight film, which went on to be called 12, originally Underground. The 12 thing came along because that's what it was called in Japan, and the artwork was so cool that when the UK released it, they re-released it as 12 later down the line because they preferred the artwork, and it did amazing. It did. I think it hardly sold any copies when it was Underground, but when it was re-released as 12, because the artwork really sold it and had a bit of a push, it did about 15 to 16,000 units on DVD in the first week. Yeah. So it was a massive difference. The movie went on to obviously have a global release as well, all over the world. It was America. It had the whole DVD kind of release. This was pre-Netflix. Yeah. This was back in the hardcore DVD kind of not even Blu-ray days. Yeah. So
you had to proper fish to find some hidden gems all around there, didn't you? With that, those you had Danny Jules from Red Dwarf. He was also in that as well, wasn't he?
He was, and bless him, Leonard Fenton as well, who I believe recently died, and he played my mentor. So yeah, it was an incredible collective of actors and fighters for that particular movie, and I kind of played the way that they wanted me to play it. Was more kind of rough, tough, kind of homeless street fighter type. No frills, just violent, kind of like a violent man who wanted to win this tournament.
What I liked about it, there was that each fighter had a different style, so it was quite nice to see the contrast between everything on in the film. So, I mean, you even had Dave Wong was in it, who he's just done Fantastic Beasts 3 as well. So it seems that film kind of led a lot of people.
Yeah, I watched it last, and there was a lot of talent in that movie that went on to do big stuff, you know. There's Andy Lister, who's Captain America's stunt double, James Bond, Daniel Craig's double, and he's doing incredibly well. Liang Yang went on to do so many great movies. He fights Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill in the one of the later Mission Impossible movies, and went on to do Star Wars and all sorts of cool stuff. So that there was it was like a hub of UK stunt and screen fighters, that movie. You know, the guy that did most of the fights was Dave Foreman.
He did he played Leonardo, didn't he? In Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah. Yeah, and he did like movies like Last Samurai, and that's Batman Begins. He's done a lot of good stuff.
I think he worked on the Die Hard films as well, I think.
Yeah, I think he's done quite a lot of really cool big productions. Yeah, but that was a good movie that then led us. I had no rest, man, from doing 7 years, literally everything possible on Displaced, going into 12 Underground, and actually, you know, producing that, playing one of the main characters in that, and then beyond that, I then went into doing Bodyguard.
Yeah, that was your second collaboration with Chi, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and there was no rest. It was literally finish that, boom, that's selling, boom, straight into that, you know, and and that was literally a whirlwind, because we went to the American film market, and as 12 was selling to varieties of countries, we then started getting that off the ground, and that's where I kind of bumped into Kari Tagawa there at the American film market. Then I introduced him to Chi, and then Chi chatted about him playing a part in Bodyguard, and then we did the collaboration with Mike Leader as a producer in Hong Kong, and we literally, we flew out there and started making it, you know, and that was the Triad gangster story, you know, about a bodyguard looking after his Triad boss. Yeah.
Also in that film, I mean, you had some stars in there. You had Richard Nunn from from Winners and Sinners and Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and Carl, his son, well, we had Carl Ung in there as well. So they were really nice, really good people, and great cast. You know, and it was like a from 12. It was, you know, a very it was a very contained type movie, just very low budget. We did what we had, and what we had we utilized. But when we did Bodyguard, it was a major film-wise step up, because it was shooting Hong Kong. It was you know, the locations looked bigger and bigger cast names. It was that again was a tough one. They've all been tough. You know, to be honest, every single movie, anyone who makes a movie, an independent movie on a low budget, deserves an Oscar. Yeah, because it's so hard. Yeah, and it's hard to you're trying to, whatever's been written in that script, you're trying to make every page come to life, and come to life on a big scale, when you've not got millions and millions and hundreds of millions like these studios have for a lot of the stuff that they make. And it's that's why sometimes when you look at it and you look what they've got, you think, come on, you know, independent movies, there's a lot of great movies that get made but don't get that exposure, you know, that they have, purely it's all about money. And sometimes they need to look at kind of these up and coming people, you know, which they used to, but they don't tend to do anymore, in my opinion. And they should they should sort of like look for all this new talent that's out there, because there's
a lot of people now have kind of just said looked their own back, haven't they, with You look at people like the Marshall Club and Dragon Lords and all that sort of stuff. They're doing their own content, getting noticed by themselves, so the studio then take notice of them, which is, you know, obviously when you had started, you didn't have, you know, it wasn't quite as easy to make films and stuff like that. You know, bits to get noticed, would you? So you have to fight for it.
There was a massive boom in the 80s for DVD martial arts movies, and that, you know, back then it was a good time. You know, now it's more difficult. So it's, you know, it's always been difficult, but it's more now. I think you have to be stronger than strong to and have that resilience to move forward in this industry.
A lot of
and you've got to
people,
love.
Yeah, a lot of people in the bigger studios, they don't want to take a chance, do they? I'm assuming. Yeah,
no,
they
exactly.
know.
Yeah, they want to go with what you know. They want to stick to the same mold or remake, or they want to kind of like, you know, they don't want to kind of put the risk in that person. They want to stick to that person. It's a lot of that, and to me, I think, you know, there needs to be more emphasis on new up and coming talent, because there's a lot of people that work hard out there, and sometimes gets unnoticed, you know, and they've got ability to sort of like go to that next level. And that's, to me, you know, there should be people noticing stuff like that, you know.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Well, that's a very good opinion. Yeah, you're right. They should like scout around, because there's loads of talent out there, as you said, that need to be. It's not easy to get noticed. So after Bodyguard, did you do Best Laid Plans, Stephen Graham, or was that?
Yeah, I was kind of. Sometimes I struggle to remember what I've done in the timeline. Yeah, that I've done it in. But yeah, amongst that time, I worked on. Yeah, I worked. Got to work with Stephen Graham and did Best Laid Plans. What an amazing actor he is. I then worked on Stan Lee's Lucky Man. I had a stunt coordinator contact me who sort of contacted me and said, do you know, we'd love for you to do a cage fight. Can you think of 3 other kind of artists that you can bring along to give the opportunity to as well? And that I did. I gave Lee Charles an opportunity there, Silvio Simac, and a guy called Paul Lundy, which I brought in for the stunt coordinator, and I ended up fighting Lee Charles in that, which is greatly. And then I did, originally I think I was going to be fighting Silvio, but they adapted it. But the fights on that were really, really, it was basically a cage fight.
Yeah,
but it was cool to do. It was, you know, it
worked in Marvel.
Technically, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and James Nesbitt was really lovely. What a nice guy he was.
So, and also back behind the camera, in you did the Thompsons, which is the vampire sequel to Hamilton's, isn't it? I think. Yeah, and you worked with Mike Fury on that as stunt coordinator.
Oh,
yeah, how was it? How do you find it, like training up? The interview for the Thompsons cast, none of them had any screen fighting background. So what was it like for you to go in there and have to teach these guys, even though it was simple stuff, distancing and all that sort of stuff? How did you and Mike come up with all that?
We basically had a couple of days where we could just, you know, find out what they were good at and how they could move and how physical they were. And we just basically adapted and worked to their strengths, you know, and then we choreographed the particular set pieces in the script. We broke it down and we kind of gave the vampires this clawing type fighting style, we just adapted to what we had and what abilities the actors had. Sometimes you've got to look at it when you're doing stuff like that. If you've no stunt doubles, or the actors are, you're relying on the actors to actually do their action. It's just finding what the strengths are and utilizing them, you know, because there's no point choreographing a fight prior knowing what their abilities are, because if you do something it's crazy, and then you just have to keep adapting and changing the fight. So it was nice to have that bit of time. It was around that time, actually. I remember it well because I'd done that movie. And I did another one. I did another choreography gig. I think it was Zombie Diaries. I think.
You worked with Mike on that as well.
I did. We did. Yeah, we did a sort of like collaboration on that one as well, me and Mike. And but it was around that time. Not many people know this, but I've worked on Coronation Street for over 9 years as a fight arranger. And it was around that time, just after Thompson's, when I got the job to work with Coronation Street. And what lovely people! I love that job. I love working with Coronation Street because everyone are lovely, very simple stuff, but everyone are very keen to have a bit of action, you know.
And for anyone who doesn't know, if anyone watches this from abroad, Coronation Street is the biggest soap in British history, one of the longest running,
It is.
and everything like that. So to be able to work on that is quite an achievement in itself. Anyone, you know.
Incredible. It was the opportunity. It was lovely. It's 50 years, isn't it, for ITV, Coronation Street?
It's something like 50, and might even be a bit longer than that, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah, it's the longest running soap in England. So, but so, you know, utilizing that, because I really, bar doing my own films back in the day, you know, that really, the Thompsons was the first choreography gig. So that kind of helped. I had some footage of all the actors talking about myself as a choreographer and stuff, which I used for the interview to get Coronation Street.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Always got like loads of kind of, and a friend of mine put me a good word in for the gig when I got the kind of call, and then and I've been doing it ever since.
Brilliant.
Still doing to this day.
So after that, you I'm pretty sure it was Adam Jones kind of come around that sort of time, wasn't it, out in India? It was kind of, it was the timelines were all a bit blurred to me, but that seems to be the next. What was it like working out in India with was it different experience out there completely, or filmmaking wise and stuff?
Yeah, well, the actual movie Adam Jones, it you know, when it got released, it was an Indian blockbuster. It was basically sellout cinemas all over India. Yeah, it was massive for them. It even did a run on the View Cinema in England. Yeah, it had a short period in the cinemas here as well. So it was a giant movie for their industry, and for me to play Dr. Steve, which was I was like the main villain in the film, like a satanic priest that did kung fu for some reason. That was it was great fun. And their team were incredible. They had a really good stunt team. They had a really good kind of really good DOP. They shot, you know, the way it's shot looks beautiful. So no, it was great experience. That journey started off in Scotland. They filmed the first part in Scotland, and then they flew me out to Mumbai in India to do the end part of the end battle.
Did you
like the hero?
Did you film anything in Scotland then, or did they just hear about you while they were filming there?
No, 2 weeks filming in Scotland.
Oh, right.
2 weeks in Scotland, and then I did. Overall, I did 2 to 3 weeks in Mumbai. Yeah, and always remember it because in between doing that, my dad died doing that film, and it was I was actually out there and I was shooting. I come back and there was a short period, and they needed me back to fly me back to kill my character off. And then my obviously dad died, and then they're on the phone saying, "We need you to come tomorrow." Yeah, and I was like, "Well, it's my dad's funeral tomorrow." So, and they were like, "Well, you've got to come." And I was like, "Well, look, okay. You can get me a flight in the evening. I'll fly on my dad's funeral." Yeah, because I know that my dad would want me to do it. So So if you can work around me that way, then I'll come. So I did my dad's funeral and then jumped on a plane and flew off right through the middle of the night back to India. So, and that was, that was pretty mad, pretty intense.
Kind of goes back to what you said earlier. You've got to love what you do in order to be a success, haven't you? It's kind of,
my dad did everything I did from the very start. He this was what my dad was like. He used to carry display stuff around with him to show people and stuff. I was proud of what I was doing and everything. And my dad knew that one day I'll be where I need to be. So, and that's, for me moving forward as an actor, as a performer, as a martial artist, I will do everything possible to get where I need to be. So, and I know where I need to be. It's the image is up here. Yeah.
This is about extraction and nothing else. We keep it calm, we keep it sharp.
In 72 hours, the quarantine zone will be completely annihilated. A scientist. The only hope of finding a cure.
Anybody get the feeling they've already won this war?
Well, I got 8 clips in an assault rifle that says otherwise.
Fall back!
I have a positive ID on our target.
Listen to me, Dr. Rains. You can either come with us, or stay here with those things out there. There's something he's not telling us.
You know better than those things out there!
We came here to find a cure. I am gonna complete my mission. Complete my mission.
I deliver you from evil.
You saying that your dad was telling you to push on. I guess after that come one of your biggest roles then, wasn't it? It was Redcon was leading up after that, was it?
Yeah, it was Redcon. Yeah, and
so that was your third collaboration with Chi, wasn't it?
It was the third, and to me, by far the biggest. Yeah, the biggest in every way.
You produced, you writ this as well, I think, didn't you? Did you jump on the script?
3 years writing. Changing, writing. Studios interested. Oh, we want to change this. Oh, we change this, change that. Then they're asking too many changes, and they're asking too many changes in cast, too much this, too much that. So we think to ourselves, right, okay, let's move on. Let's produce it ourselves. Yeah, and because at the end of the day, what you write is your passion. Yeah, you should. If you write a project and it's what you want to do, all right, you should go with it. Yeah, go with it. It's what you love and it's what you want to portray and get out there. And for me, in the end, it was, people don't see this. They just see the finished thing. Yeah, they don't see what goes into making a movie. Yeah, definitely when you haven't got the luxury of having lots of money. Okay. Redcon, I developed and writ with Chi and another writer called Stephen Hove, another writer, Oliver Moran. And And basically, as we're writing the script, we were getting out there and trying to do and building packs, fundraising, which I kind of did back in the day when my first movie Displaced. You know, going back to the point where I was doing kung fu demonstrations to raise money in pubs. I was doing whatever it took to raise money to make the film on the first one. So we inherited for Redcon, we had investors, which, you know, so I was bringing money into the project. I was producing, I was writing. I was pretty much the action director with Kieran Handy and his small stunt team. I played one of the main actors in the film. There was a lot of stress because it was a lot of build and build and build and build. And every page read like we had 50 million to make this film. Yeah. So how do you make that work? You make that work with passion. Yeah. You really, you know, if you want to make it work, you'll find a way to make it work. And that's what we did with Redcon 1. You know, in my mind, I know the movie did really well and it got out there and it hit the cinemas in the UK, which not even a lot of movies with 2 to 3 million budget action movies that get made in this country don't hit 64 sites, view sites for over a month.
That was across the country, wasn't it?
Across
yeah,
Scotland.
right down the country.
Yeah, every 64 sites view. It then went on to kind of Cineworld, Odeon, certain releases released it. You know, Showcase did it as well. Not only that, it got Netflix for 3 years. It's now currently
Amazon
still
Prime.
in Amazon Prime. It's on Amazon. It's on Sky Store still. It got released in cinemas in different countries. It got released all over the world on DVD, Blu-ray, and streaming sites. So you look at that. Okay, took 7 years to finish that, from start to finish. Yeah, 7 years of my life gone into that project in many different forms and ways. Yeah. Physical shooting that, I probably injured myself more than I've ever injured myself in my entire career working on that movie. Yeah. Because, you know, when you're telling yourself that this is a big opportunity, you just tend to throw everything into it, you know. And for Redcon, you know, I was sold on the big opportunity and I did what I did, you know, and I'm grateful and happy to be part of that movie, you know. Yeah.
It seems you're saying back to the DVD and Blu-ray release. I know because I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to, I know in Germany there's a lot of special editions for the which it seems to be, you know, it does seem to keep living a long life, that film. I mean, it got released over here on the Horror Channel as well. I know it's done well all over the world. Passion project for you, which, you know, if you 7 years of that in, it must be quite proud of the legacy that film led.
For sure, man. You look at the movies that get made, okay? Even movies up to 2 million classed as low budget in this country, yeah? Does that have tanks in streets? Does that have Humvees? Does that have helicopters? Does that have casts of thousands of extras? Does it have all this in one movie? Yeah.
Martin Ford.
Yeah, Martin that was my first venture with Martin, which was fantastic to have him on board, and yeah, I love Mark to bits. But yeah, it had a lot of great elements, you know, and you know, it was just done on micro budget.
Yeah. And watch it, it doesn't look it.
No, exactly. We had a really great team, you know. It was just a very, very tough shoot because, you know, I think we had 12 weeks, which we shot in 2-3 blocks because of weather problems and stuff. And we, yeah, it was very tough. Like you know, mentally for me, it was hard because I was juggling so many different things. And there was a stress of producing, the stress of giving it your best on camera as well. it just had a lot of elements, you know, and it was tough on the old mind and body.
Well,
But it's done and it's out there and it's out to the masses. So I really hope when people watch that movie, they give it some love, because we did our best on what we had.
I think the film's absolutely brilliant. What was the injury you picked up on that? 'Cause you had quite serious.
Okay, all right. There was a few. I had panic attacks. Had to go to hospital because I had heart palpitations. Yeah, because of the pure effort I was throwing into it. Yeah, into scenes. I popped my hip out. I broke my collarbone, which I didn't even know it was broke until weeks after, and it was still freshly broke when I had it x-rayed. Did all my rotator cuffs. Yeah, it was tough because it wasn't, you know, it wasn't just the injury thing. Oh, and I separated my chest. That's the film, I believe, where I separated the center of my chest muscles. Yeah, so it's, you know, when people watch a movie and they criticize it, go and do it yourself. Go and do it, try it, yeah, and tell me how you feel. Yeah, definitely when you want to do one as ambitious as we did. So,
Well, I applaud you for being able to pull that off with the budget you had. As I say, it's my favourite film of yours so far, anyway. So
thanks, brother.
cool. So after all that, then, and the promotion. I mean, with the promotion of that film, you chucked everything into that. I mean, you took
the promotion. We went mental with it. Yeah. We did main stage panels at Comic Con London and Comic Con Glasgow, MCM Comic Con. Then we
raided HMVs.
Yeah, we
dressed as zombies and all that sort of stuff. And it was,
yeah, we did a 30-day cinema tour doing Q&As. It was massive, and you know, The View supported the movie that much that our trailer was in with all the big Hollywood trailers to advertise that it was coming on. And normally you have to pay a lot of money for that, but they supported us. So they saw potential in the movie, which you don't normally get. So
it's brilliant. I do urge anyone to go check that film out. As you say, there's plenty of ways to watch it. So go and do that. Mark, so after Redcon, you're pretty much used to playing someone who keeps fit, muscle bound. You then jump into Avengement, where you play Cliff. Now, I thought that was a fat suit, but you generally got into that shape, didn't you, for the character?
Yeah, well, kind of. Scott asked me to do a self-tape. This was the first time Scott, I think, known about me from other things, and obviously he was in the Medallion, I was, and he knew of me, and he did message me. There was a time when I could have been in Boyka, one of the Boykas. I can't remember which one it was, but that didn't work out. Yeah, he sent me a message saying, "Would you do a self-tape?" And I originally did a self-tape for the corrupt police officer in Avengement. Yeah, which
by
I did.
Ross O'Hennessy, wasn't it? I think.
That's correct. Yeah, and so anyway, I did the self-tape, and Cliff was more suited for me. So as the doorman, Cliff, and so anyway, he gave me the opportunity, gave me the role, and I just put some weight on for it. I thought doormen aren't quite, you know, I don't see very, not stereotyping doormen and bouncers, but they're all very big, and some have bellies and some are big and muscular. So I thought, yeah, I'll make myself look a bit different and make me look more like a doorman, because I was a doorman in my younger years, and so I knew how that kind of process worked. So yeah, so I made myself a bit more rounder, a bit bigger, but obviously I could still move well. So yeah. And obviously Scott gave me the opportunity, and it was great to finally meet Scott. I remember meeting him on the rehearsal day. We were all rehearsing with Luke Fontaine and Dan Stiles and all the other guys there. We did one day rehearsal, and then that was it. Was
that a one day rehearsal for that fight? Was it?
Yeah, we only had one time. Yeah, at it, just to take it in. Yeah, And then we got on set, and then Jesse Johnson, fantastic. I'd love to work with Jesse again. I love Jesse. He's great. Done some great movies, and so to work with Jesse as well and Scott was brilliant. So,
Well, I mean,
got there, and
also in that scene, you're talking back to people who you'd worked with before, and you say Lee Charles was in that one with you, and Bo was in that again.
Yeah,
there seems to be a loop.
Yeah, it was great to obviously have the experience and get to meet and work with Tommy Turgoose and Craig Verbrass, and them guys. All them guys were great British actors. So it was great to it was a really great cast. To be involved with the whole project. It's one of my favourite Scott Adkins films, not because I'm in it, because I think Scott's brilliant in it, and I think the whole overall film is brilliant. So it's really, really, really good movie. So for me to be in it was just a bonus, really. So but the actual fight, if I remember rightly, we did all the kind of, Scott did all his dialogue, and we did all the kind of all the build up to the fight, over several days, and then if I remember rightly, we had a day and a half to shoot the whole fight.
Because the fight itself,
it's pretty amazing because it ended. Yeah, it's pretty amazing because it ended up in the Titus Stunt Awards against John Wick.
Yeah.
So, which probably had months of rehearsals and stuff. So I was quite happy with, everyone were on the same boat. Everyone was really up for it, for a good old fight. And the choreography, the guys did such a great job, and everyone involved with that fight, the main pub fight, did a brilliant job, because it's violent, it's brutal,
so violent.
It's yeah. And
what was it?
The
bit that kind of shook me the most is when you get hit with a cricket bat. So that was bolster.
That was real.
Yeah, it was real, wasn't it?
That was real. It wasn't balsa wood. No, it was like a hard. It was like, if I remember rightly, because I got hit in the face by it, it felt like hard rubber.
It's nice.
Yeah, so it wasn't a proper breakaway. The one that hit me wasn't anyway. All I remember seeing is black, and then I was down on the floor. Yeah, and it was kind of, and then I stood up and my nose is all bust. I like Scott run over and all right. And it was lucky enough it was a break, so I could have a brew and just get get my bearings. Yeah, so but I got nicknamed, Scott Adkins nicknamed me the Wild Man after that fight scene. So which
is that because you went all in?
Yeah, you got to go all in, man. Yeah, any action scene, you always give it your best. Whatever project it is, in my mind, if you don't, you're not a true performer. You've just got to give it everything. So,
and then talking of going all in, I mean, your next one, Man 4, you're channeling a bit of Chuck and a bit of Bob Wall there with this, and you're going all in with this. I mean, again, you suffered injuries on this one as well, didn't you?
I did, unfortunately, yeah, and that was, I think it's down to my own stupid fault. I didn't warm up correctly, did I? So properly before when you get Yen Wu Ping coming up to you and he says, "Do you think you can kick that?" And my mind think, yeah, I can kick that. I don't need the wire thing. Yeah, so I'll do it. And I got them to drop it just a fraction. And anyway, it was literally, that was the first shot, was just to do a jumping kick that lamp, and then I see Bruce Lee, and then I see Danny Chan, and he looks at me, and I look at him, and I point at him. The director said point, yeah, never told me to say anything. They dubbed that in afterwards. Yeah, he said point like Bruce Lee, and do this like Bruce Lee used to do, like you're mocking him in a sense. So yeah, so there you go. That was my first shot, and I ended up almost taking the attachment away off my hamstring. Yeah, tore it. I felt it pop as I did that kick, but I did it a few times, got it every time, and then the whole rest of the, I think it was 4 or 5 days shoot to do that whole fight.
Really, you
I
had
had
full
to do
fight.
it on. Yeah, I had to fight for that length of time with a bad leg, and it was bad. So it was that bad. It's took over a year to get it right, physio. So, and it's still a bit dodgy. So
You must be crazily proud of that, because at the I think that is the most viewed fight on YouTube from the film. It seems that that fight has taken on its own little.
thanks, brother. Yeah, well, I never, when Mike Leader contacted me and said, I'm putting you forward for this, and then he said, they want to use you to for you to fight Bruce Lee in Ip Man 4. That was like a dream conversation, me thinking I was traveling, I was going to get my ass kicked in 2 to 3 2 to 3 seconds, because it's Bruce Lee. Yeah. All right. And then I got there and they started working the fight out, and I thought, wow, this is a bit of screen time. This is a good fight. This is a proper challenge for Bruce Lee. No, it was fantastic. I was, even though I was in so much pain, I was getting up, and Scott was messaging me, and I said, oh, I'm busted, mate. And he was like, yeah, you'll be all right, kind of thing. It's tough work over there, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, it's really tough. And I was literally having to force myself out of bed every morning to go. Yeah, because I was just so busted up. I was spraying myself. Danny Chan let me use his massage gun to try and get the blood flowing. But I was happy to say I didn't, it was me all the way through that fight, by the way. I never got doubled on one thing. So I'm chuffed about that, because I don't like being doubled. If I can do it myself, I'll always do it myself, so, but what I mean, yeah, once far my expectations of the fight. I remember sitting down at the premiere in London.
You hadn't seen it until then, did you?
No, like Scott and Matt Rutledge was with Scott actually in Hong Kong. They called me the night of the Hong Kong premiere, and there was like, and I think they'd seen it, and they were like, "Oh, just wait till you see it." So I was sitting next to Scott that night, and I was watching it on the big screen. It was like, wow, far better than I expected it to be, because you just think to yourself, "Oh, my leg was busted, and this I could do better," but it's the best I could have done with how I was feeling. So,
Well, it's proven, it will prove for the test of time, because people, as I said before, people pick that out of the entire film, don't they? It's something that could have probably had a spin-off and anything like that. So.
Yeah, totally. Thanks, man. I as I say, it was, it's great to be viewed. I think the views on YouTube now are probably they're probably 70 million in total. All the views just on that one fight. So yeah, I'm very grateful to have that kind of exposure, and the exposure it gave me. It's a huge franchise, and it's just great to be part of. And the opportunity working with Yen Wu Ping was just incredible, and the whole team.
And Wilson Yip as well. I mean, they're kind of the top tier of people in your industry who you want to work with, isn't it? Those opportunities don't come along very often, and it's you grabbed it with both hands.
Yeah, totally, my friend. Yeah, but no, what an experience, even to this day, saying, oh, I'm in Ip Man 4. It's pretty cool.
You! The door won't fight back, but I will.
Thanks to everyone who helped us get there, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And then I guess that brings us up to your, well, it is your first leading role, which is Rupture, isn't it? This was
Technically, Displace was my first leading role.
oh right, okay, yeah.
But that was, I don't count that because it's too far backwards. I can't even remember. So,
Right.
but yeah, of recent, yeah, it's you know, look at these opportunities that come along and
This
it came along and you know, it was great to do it really, because I think everything, you know, like Lima was kind of my other half, told me you should do this, and I looked at it and I thought, yeah, let's do it. So and that was it really. I was you know, Ranjit and D Johnny the producer and Ranjit the director just was in contact with them, my agent and everything, and then next minute I was there doing it. And it was literally lastminute.com. So it was all very, very quick, you know.
yeah, I think
and
you just kind of need to elaborate on that with the lack of time you had to prepare for it. This was all
no, this is
stupidly
why
short notice,
people,
wasn't it?
yeah, this is why people say sometimes stay ready. You see actors saying that, or fight performers, or whatever. At that time, yeah, I had injuries and stuff yet again, and I
COVID.
had a little bit of time off just to rest my body, and boom, yeah, and then the next minute you sort of like you're trying to get yourself as in shape as possible. Nowadays, I'm trying to stay in shape all the time, you know, and that's why I'm living in the gym every day. You know, you live in the gym to stay ready and stay prepared for what is in front of you physically, for performance, for physical performances. But with Rupture, no, I was just very grateful to Ranjit and Johnny giving me a chance and an opportunity to be the leading man, Mr. Raven Black. And literally, you know, I give it everything for them. Really excited for people to see the film. You know, hopefully this year, maybe early next year, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's excited for people to see what we did in a very, very short window. The whole movie was shot in 2.5 weeks. Yeah. In on the bigger scale of the food chain, yeah, 2.5 weeks would be one action scene in a film. Probably smallish action scene. So it just gives you an idea of what can be achieved in a short period of time, you know, on a low budget.
With that then, from the point where you got where you were shooting, how did you start learning? I mean, that's a lot of dialogue. It's quite heavily, it's a lot of dialogue in the film, isn't it? How did you try and cram all that into, do you struggle with learning words, or was it quite straightforward?
Yeah, I'm getting better now. Not a lot of people know I'm dyslexic, so I find it struggle to remember lines. Yeah, but now I'm experienced of working with other actors, and with that one was quite tough because it was a whole script. It was, you know, there was lots of dialogue, lots of working with lots of different actors, and lots of pressure because whenever you're you know, you get the opportunity to be a lead, the pressure is on your shoulders because the whole film was based on your character. So you know, you've got that pressure on wanting to do your best for the director and the producer and the team. And yeah, it gets quite hard work and frustrating, you know, because of lack of time and lack of prep. But you just, you know, you just get in there and smash it out of the park, man, and just do your best, you know. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is giving it everything you've got, and whatever the circumstances, you know. Yeah.
Well, I was lucky enough to be on set for that for a day, and I saw the passion that you were putting in and the effort that went in. So I've got high hopes for the film. I'm sure it's going to do great. As I said at the beginning, it seems to be, you know, catching people's attention already. It had a good response to the Fighting Spirit Film Festival when you'd done the Q&A there, and the little bit of footage they showed seemed to, you know, it had
No,
good.
for sure. This is, you know, like Ranjit is fantastic. He's such a great director. He you know, he works with his actors and you know, he knows what he wants, and that's basically what kind of a good director is. Yeah. And basically, you know, the whole team, they did amazingly well, and I'm excited for everyone to see what we achieved on such a low budget. And it's inspires other people to get out there and make films, you know. But you know, be sure that you just give it your best all the time, you know, even if you haven't got all the luxuries of having trailers and having kind of like, you know, all this kind of luxury around you and the luxury of time, you know. You do what you can, you kind of, you make what you can, you do it to your best with what resources that you have, you know.
Yeah, because Kieran worked on that. He worked on you with, you said earlier, on Redcon one, didn't he? He'd done the corridor.
Ever, yeah, and I like Kieran. He's a good guy. He's very creative, and as I say, working back with him on Redcon, yeah, he went that extra mile, you know, so to do it to his best and do a good job. And that's what it's all about, really. It's working together as a team and creating something special. And yeah, I think what Ranjit's done with Rupture is amazing, considering what lack of resources that he has and budget. So it's you know, he's done an incredible job.
Excellent. Look forward to seeing that when we can. So that'll probably be out the end of this year, possibly beginning of next.
Yeah.
And you've got over social media, you put bits out of you looking very different with a grey beard, cap on, American accent. Dig Me No Grave. That's another project we've got coming up at some point, haven't you, with Ranjit? That
yeah.
What was that
and
like?
You know what? Right, let me tell you something. All right. Sometimes you doubt yourself in this industry, and you get people that kind of bring you down or try to bring you down, or you kind of, you know, you get sort of doubters out there, and you get people, you know, which to me can destroy someone, or it can work two ways. It can destroy them, and they'll go in a corner and literally give up. Yeah. Or it can strive to make them better. Yeah. And it can make them go through the stratosphere. Yeah. And make you kind of more determined, hungrier. Yeah. A lot of this industry is believing in yourself and having that opportunity and showing the world what you can do. Yeah. You know, and with this particular film, I was doubting myself. Yeah. Never done an accent before in a film. Okay. Very dialogue heavy. Number two, yeah, I'm a stroke victim. Yeah. All right. So maybe a bit of a stutter, but you know, so not only have you got the accent, you've got like, you know, it's a quirky character. Yeah, Fred. All right. And on top of that, I'm very, very different. I look very different, and I wanted to create myself different. I asked Ranjit, if I'm going to do this, I want to look as far away from Mark Strange look that I've been possible. Yeah. And I did the, you know, the whole glasses thing. It was just ideas that I threw at Ranjit, and I just what I did with the accent, I started watching kind of films like The Revenant, and I started watching Forrest Gump, and started, you know, I have done accents before, and I've worked with acting coaches. I worked with one of the best acting voice coaches in the business for a week in London, Patsy Rodenberg. If any actor will know who she is, she's the voice coach for Daniel Craig, Ian McKellen. Yeah. So I did that back in the day. So I have done my stint of accents, but you know, I wasn't confident. Yeah. And it was purely at the time, I think I took a couple of knocks, but I kind of made it and think, no, I'm going to show and I'm going to prove to everyone what I can do. Yeah. And so I had a lot of fire. So fire's good. Yeah. Like I got fire in my belly now. Yeah. For what I'm doing next. Yeah. And I've got a lot of it. So, but with Fred, the character of Fred, you know, Gary, the writer, Gary is fantastic. I love Gary. Lives in Washington. He wrote Dig Me No Grave. So Ranjit believed in me. Yeah. And he said, you can do this. I know you can do this. Yeah. Lima believed in me. Yeah. She told me you should do this. Yeah. All right. So what I did the whole kind of, I take things in, maybe it's a dyslexic thing. I take things in by watching better than listening. Yeah. And I listen and watch, should I say, not sort of like listening to someone else, but visually on films, on telly, I tend to take it in better. Yeah. So what I did a lot of that. And then Ranjit said, right, let's do some of the dialogue on Zoom with Gary, who's American. So if I can convince Gary that I'm American, it's great. So I did it. I give it all my own quirky kind of sound, and yeah, I loved it. And then literally got there, and as each day grew, I got stronger and stronger with the accent. So yeah, and I'm excited to see it because it's so different to me. It's like a million miles away from what I normally do as an actor, as a performer.
Well, again, that's something else for us to look forward to. You've also got Gangpath and Hounds of War, which, you know, Hounds of War, you're working with Isaac Florentine. That's another brilliant. I mean, he's probably one of the best action actors around. Work with him. What was that like?
Fantastic, man. Obviously, he discovered Scott Adkins, Isaac, as you know, with the whole Boyka films and everything. What a fantastic guy, lovely guy, a really, really good director, and a director that I respect and have always wanted to work with. So when the opportunity came to work with Isaac, it was really a buzz, you know. And to work with, I met the producers, the actors, everyone was so lovely. I made so many new friends on that, and got to shoot in Malta. No, I'm excited. It stars Frank Grillo, Robert Patrick in the film, and I play Santiago. I play one of the Hounds of War, one of Frank Grillo's hounds. Yeah, I won't really give anything more away than that, but I'm excited for everyone to see it. Isaac is an action legend.
Definitely. And Gangpath, what can we expect from that one as well? It seems that had everybody in it.
A good old fight that's what you expect from that. Finally got to work with Brahim, which Brahim is so lovely, and yeah, it was great to work with Brahim, and yeah, I you know, within Gain a Path, I play one of the fighters. I play Captain Doom, so in Gain a Path. So yeah, and it was great, obviously, to work with Tim Mann, which had, again, never had the experience of our paths hadn't crossed. So it was great to finally work with Tim. All the team of fighters on that film was so lovely. Vincent Wang as well, stunt coordinator. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty crazy because there's about 5 or 6 things that I'm in that aren't out yet. So which between now and next year will be visible for people to see.
And they're all big projects coming up. You know,
they're all very different
yeah.
as well. They're all very different. Yeah, you've got like Hounds of War, which is bigger budget. Then you've got like Gain a Path, which is pretty decent budget as well. So interesting to see how them both turn out. Excited for everyone to see them. And then you've got Dig Me No Grave, which is a character acting part that I'm playing. So again, it's very different. You know, I appreciate everybody who's really been on my journey over this last year or two, because it's kind of since I did Redcon and since I moved on to doing other stuff, it's been a whirlwind. It's been the opportunities and the people giving me the opportunities, like Ranjit, the producers of Hounds of War, Jean-Pierre and Aaron, giving me that opportunity through Isaac, and you know, everyone on this journey so far. You know, I'm very grateful and I appreciate everyone's sort of belief and support with my career.
Well, it looks like everything's going to escalate for you from this point on now anyway. That pretty much brings us up to date with everything you've done. 2 more quick questions. I think I know the answer to these. Out the films you've done so far, which one would you recommend people go watch? And also, what fight scene out of yours would you recommend them go watch if they hadn't seen anything of yours as of late?
Up to date, that's not out yet. I'd probably say if you haven't seen Redcon 1, go and watch that, because it's you know, my part in that is just a guy that you don't trust. Yeah, but he seems to do all the right things, but doesn't really get on with the team. It's a post-apocalyptic kind of zombie movie. Yeah, action zombie film about a team of special forces in a quarantine Great Britain. That's available all over the world, so check that out. And fight scene, I'd say, if you haven't seen it already, and I'm sure probably most of the world have, is Ip Man 4, now on Netflix worldwide. And you can see me challenge Danny Chan as Bruce Lee in that particular movie, and it's a great honor to have done, obviously, everything I've done so far, but that was a great fun. That was great fun.
And lastly, what advice would you have for anyone? I mean, you've pretty much done it all. So what advice would you give to anyone out there who's trying to get into the business or is aiming to get into the fight choreography or anything like that?
I think, you know, I'm always a believer in follow what you do. You know, you're on this planet to do a certain thing. Yeah. I know I'm on this planet to be an actor, as a performer, as a martial arts performer. I know that's my thing. All right. And I'm going to go as far as possible it takes me. I'll do whatever it takes I've got too much fire in my belly. Yeah. And I know what I'm doing next. I'm going to do everything possible to make a success of it. I think my advice to anyone out there is, you know, stick to something, what you want to do, and keep chucking that mud at the wall, because eventually it sticks. Yeah. And you've just got to work hard. You've got to push yourself beyond and just enjoy the journey, you know, and never let anyone tell you you're not good enough. Yeah. Okay. You keep working hard and keep proving yourself, you know, time and time again until you get to where you want to be. And when you get to where you want to be, yeah, you set new goals. Yeah, you know, remember, you're never at the top of the hill. The hill can keep climbing. Yeah, you can keep climbing, and that is what I believe is a wise thing to do. You know, always learn, never stop learning. You're always constantly learning new things. You know, be humble, be nice, and be respectful.
Well, that's very wise, Mark. Thank you very much. Maybe when the other films come out, we'll get you back on where you can talk about them a bit more in depth. But thank you very much for taking your time to chat with us, and we will speak to you soon.
Excellent.
See ya.